All right, hello everybody. This video is going to be on a quote that I recently heard from Matthew McConaughey, some life advice to live by on the Diary of a CEO podcast. I haven't written down a single thing, and I've just been thinking on this line for, about the better part of a week since I last heard it. And it is the motto to live by, recommended by Matthew, of be less impressed and more involved in your own life. And when I first heard that, I thought it was quite profound. That it sounds pretty darn condensed. There's a lot there to unpack, and he went into it, his thoughts on it and such. But I'm here to give you mine and how it pertains to counseling and just living a more productive, worthwhile life with better quality. His intention by being less impressed, and I agree with it, is that so many people spend their days watching things, and their attention is kind of sponged up by whether it's social media, TV, patterns of behavior that don't really serve them any purpose. Not even really enjoyment. It's going beyond relaxation at the end of the day and throwing the TV on or playing video games for an hour or two, or whatever suits your fancy. It's more so just this kind of like parasitic attachment we have in an inability to break our attention from these things that don't serve us in any way. Doom scrolling, watching so much TV while you're doom scrolling, and watching TV for hours, maybe even reading for hours a day. Really just these distractions from life, and from the life that we're living. And not a good type of distraction, not an enjoyable hobby, it's not relaxing, it's draining. We're comparing ourselves to others while we're doing it. We're kind of stuck inside our own head with these fleeting thoughts, these anxious thoughts, sad thoughts, maybe frustrated thoughts. And then as soon as those thoughts get just a little bit too much to bear, okay, I'll turn my attention to the TV again and watch this little scene. Oh, that's interesting. Where, oh, how interesting. And just letting life pass you by, really, just unproductively and passively letting it pass you by, with no benefit of relaxation or without the intent of the distraction necessarily. More so distraction for distraction's sake. And so it kind of bleeds into this theme of, what is the currency of the modern age? It is attention span. It has been decreasing pretty drastically and routinely, day after day, generation after generation, ever since the advent of all the screens that we have, especially social media. What is that now? 10 or 20 years ago that Facebook was made. And smartphones and everything, and we had these screens in our pockets, and so it really it bleeds into this topic where so many people are spending hours and hours, even days worth of hours a week, spending time consuming things that, oh wow, that life, I sure would like to have that boat, or go on that nice hike adventure, or what have you. And it's kind of inspired or led to the flourishing of all these people in careers like content creators that film themselves out doing this really cool stuff, and other people consume it and they think, oh wow, that would be so excellent to do, but they're not doing it, they're just consuming it. And again, the distinction here is, some of these content creators and these shows and things, they're actually enjoyable to watch, and they're fun. You can see some parts of the world maybe you have no means to travel to, and they're using gear that is unattainable to you right now. But what this is involving in is, if you have some sort of dream that you want to accomplish, or to pursue something in your life and to get to that state, and you want to build a beautiful, beautiful garden. Well, you can watch all the videos you want about gardening and planting, and that is never going to bear fruit, literally. Like, you have to get out there to your community garden, or if you have a backyard or something, you have to get out there and actually do those things if you want to have that thing in your life. And now maybe you don't, but I'm not speaking to those people. It's like, what I'm speaking to is this broader kind of plague or parasite on society, where people are not involved in their own lives, whether that's due to financial reasons, motivation, lacking communication skills to organize something socially. It could be a fear of judgment of participating in that thing, fear of failure in uptaking or learning or demonstrating the skills it takes to do that type of activity, or that type of activity. And rather than seeking out a means to accomplish those goals, people spend more and more time on their screens, just watching other people live the lives that they would like to live. And when you do this long enough, again, it's not just like a 20-minute doom scroll, or even it can present there too. But you're doing this, and the whole time you're comparing yourself to others. I could never do it that way. I won't even try. There's no way for me to ever be able to afford that type of overlanding rig at any point in the future. So I'm not going to try to even to do something. There's no way I can camp as good as that person. So I'm not going to go camping or fishing or skiing or what have you. And there are very real reasons why people don't do this. But when you get locked in this trap of watching other people live their lives and doing nothing to improve your own and being involved in your own life, you become envious, irritable. It drains your energy watching these things happen, and then doing nothing productive in your life. It saps your confidence to do it once you start ruminating on these thoughts, like, I'll never be able to do that. I can't possibly learn that skill. I can't handle the stress of it. Even those first few steps. It kind of robs us of what could be. And that's really like the essence of this quote from Matthew McConaughey, is that to participate in your life more is to also enjoy it that much more, and to see the accomplishments that come with new learnings, the failures that are going to come along the way, the growth. That's where true satisfaction and happiness lies, and is these small steps of involvement, whether it's whatever, like learning a new instrument, or a craft of sorts, you name it. When people do this, it's just it's taking that you're just kind of wasting time, really. And I don't fully have a full appreciation for the time that I have on this earth. I'll be the first to admit that I think I'm getting there to a degree, but really what this comes down to is you're wasting time. We have this one life to live. If you've watched some of my meditation videos, Marcus Aurelius hammers this point home, where we always think we have time until we don't. There could be a health scare, a natural disaster, something, and and people who experience some of these, like a death, people who experience some of these things often have a profound realization of our time here is short. It's not to be wasted. It's the most precious of our resources. And when you spend all day just watching some of these things, and it's cool. Well, the brain gets like a little quick buzz of, oh wow, that's exciting, that's cool, that's interesting, I've never seen that part of the world before, what's that about? But it's not lasting. It doesn't satisfy it in a lasting way. um, in fact, it just sometimes makes it more difficult to then start something, like start the first steps towards something into the future if you've been stewing on these thoughts for months or years. um, and the brain kind of gets in this pattern of like, I'm not going to go outside of my comfort zone. Once my work day is done at 5, I go home and I sit there and be on my phone for the next 3 or 4 hours before bed, or what have you. These patterns of behavior that don't really serve us begin to develop. And I've said it several times in this episode, but it just takes away from your quality of life. You gotta ask yourself the question: what kind of life do you want to live? What do you want to do with your life, or do in it? Or who do you want to be around you? And what are all of you doing together? What kind of experiences are you having? Or what kind of experience do you desire to have? It's got that pursuit of the curiosity of life, discovering things about yourself. Um, that same pursuit and passion is both, in the short term, satisfied sometimes by these impressionable videos and distractions, but for medium and especially long-term positivity and growth, the brain is not satisfied by that. The brain will be saying, okay, what have I done in the past year or two? What have I done this week? What have I done this month to have a tangible, real life improvement in my situation? And if that answer is nothing, or very, very minimal, and you're not stepping outside of your comfort zone, then it's going to lead to some anxious thoughts, like why can't I do this? What's going on here? Am I a failure because of this? Am I no good? Sad thoughts like, I'll never be able to accomplish that thing. Why bother? I can never find myself able to get out of bed or off the couch past 6 p.m. I've lost 3 friends in the past 2 years. If this trend continues, in 5 years I'll have no friends. It can trap the mind in these kind of dark, twisted. Not actually, I shouldn't say twisted, but the trajectory. It comes down to the trajectory of your life, and the brain knows that, and will be sending you signals along the way that manifest as sadness, as frustration, as fear. Fear of, am I going to live this way for the next 40 years? Well, I haven't done anything about it yet. Is that going to keep going? And the brain's always looking for patterns, and the brain loves positive. The brain loves positive growth and the uptake of new skills, of responsibilities, and it's satisfied generally with maintenance of a quality of life, or what you're doing. But again, this all stems back to, for the people watching this and listening, the very few, it's like I'm speaking to the people who want to do something, who have this urge, who think that the uptake of this skill or doing it with these people would be satisfying, would be worthwhile to them. But despite that, and despite knowing or believing deep down that the skill or behavior is something I would enjoy and would better my life in some way, I still haven't found the motivation to do it yet. So I will instead just watch other people live the life that I want to. I think that's everything I have to say on this quote. It was it's something that honestly, it's As a Kelowna therapist here, it's something that I really try and instill in clients is involvement in their own life, being active, being proactive. Um, you know, you can watch all these videos and think all these thoughts and craft these perfect ideals and these perfect plans, but it's once rubber hits the road and you go up against reality and the societies we live in, the times, and that's when sometimes these ideals fall apart or are hit with you're hit with several roadblocks along the way. But you'd never know that unless you get out there and try. To try and change through actionable behaviors, through your words, your internal dialogue, and yeah, it's really I think it comes down, like I personally think it's at the root of a lot of issues that people have, is that they're they're too busy being impressed and impressioned upon by others, while not exerting enough of their own self-agency to go out in the world and be themselves, or to make their life worthwhile. I think that's everything I have to say. So thank you for listening, if you're one of my many, many listeners, and yeah, look forward to talking to you again here soon.